So if I got a lighter and put it to the wall, what would happen?
Basically nothing at the moment. To put it into context, I mean, you'd singe the outside of the wall.
Yeah.
This loose material that's the loose surface of it. But just like wood, it will char.
So no flame, just a bit of
sin, a bit of
smoke, and
bit of smoke, and let it fit.
Fine.
Our latest fire test, which is only about 2 months old, was basically singeing or burning these walls again in a new chamber. We had one membrane on the outside. We reached 45 minutes REI on it, and that's a bare straw wall. It was actually 52 minutes before it fell out of the chamber. Our wall was still intact. It was the actual holding pieces in the chamber that collapsed and fell out.
Okay.
So we reckon we could have got to 60 minutes if they hadn't failed. But of course, that's a fail in the terms.
So what's the science behind? Can you just briefly sum up the science behind why it just doesn't catch fire?
Well, it's the same ingredients as wood. So you're looking at a wood product. It's cellulose based, and it's so compact. I mean, it's 115 kilograms per cubic meter compressed into the wall. So if you just cut a hole in this in the morning to put let's say a ventilation pipe through, you'll fill a 90-liter bucket of straw just with a tiny hole. It's so much straw in there. So you're looking at, I mean, there's a statistic I heard that you need 15 to 17% of air for a wall to catch fire. So that's why the density is so much. And in that same statistic, I heard that, with a highly compressed straw wall, you've only got about between 5 and 10% air. So you're missing that air part. And I suppose a simple way to look at it is if you take one magazine and try to open it up, and you'll burn it easily. And if you take a stack of magazines, you won't burn it. So it's to do with the compression. Plus, straw naturally has silicate around the stem. So it's like, which is a natural fire retardant itself. That's nobody spraying it with anything. That's just natural. So it has its own capacities to withhold that. And then that's just the straw wall. Then you add your materials to it. Add clay, which doesn't burn. It's an A-class fire material, to the inside. Add your wood fiber boards and your membranes. Your membrane makes it airtight. So again, less air going through. And we can get up to 120 minutes both sides fire resistance on it. So that's one key to it being fire resistant. And it's, as I said, it's the same as wood. You will char the outside of it, but maybe a half centimeter in, and then it stops. No. But in the fire regulations, it's still, in all countries, it's still classed as an E fire rating. And this is down to the smouldering effect. And this is something that I know a lot of countries are trying to re-regulate. So they're looking at, why are bio-based materials considered E-class because of the smouldering when we know that they don't burn below this surface. And that's the same with wood.
So the next question then is, when it comes to just building a normal 2 up, 2 down, or 2 down, 3 up type of property, and then built en masse. So a large developer, is it possible for a large developer just to build these out?
100% it is. And we're showing that now in a project currently underway in Holland. It's 89 council houses. So they're basically 2-story or semi-detached homes, all built with EcoCocon. There'll be 40 built this year and 40 built next year. All pre-assembled walls in a pre-assembly factory. So we're shipping our walls to a company there who has a pre-assembly factory, and they're assembling them all into large walls like this, and then lifting those walls in on site. So, which means the speed of build is very, very fast.
How long then does it take to build a single dwelling? So if you're looking at a detached dwelling, if we say 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom.
Yeah, let's say 150 square meter wall surface, you'll have all the walls up in a maximum of 2 days. If it's pre-assembled off-site, that would include the windows, doors, outside material, inside material, everything done, coming dry to the site, pre-assembled with a crane. If it's on-site assembly like we did with this pod, just screwing them together on site, it's pretty much the same time, but then you're having to cope with weather conditions and stuff like that. So there's a difference.
That was going to be my next question in terms of weather. So if it rains quite frequently in these aisles.
Yep. Yeah.
So can you only install it on a dry day?
In principle, it's good, but I mean, that's the same with any wood material. I mean, we can get deeper into a conversation about that. I mean, it's even the same with concrete and stuff, which...
Yeah, I'm not talking the torrential rain. I'm talking like the...
Drizzle is possible to do, because if you think again back to farming, you look in the fields and the farmers have all the bales stacked on top of each other and have a little cap on the top of them with maybe a tarp over the top and a kind of roof shape. All of those outside bales are getting wet, but actually it's only the surface and it's kind of running off it.
Because of that compact.
Yes. Now, it's different if it's driving rain, because it can get into the center of the wall, which then can become hazardous. But a little drizzle is okay. We don't recommend it still, but it's okay. You know, I've built over 25 houses now in Ireland. Sometimes in November, December, they've been built. The key is, you know, it's getting the wall up because we use the membrane on the outside. It's that this makes it already airtight and weathertight. So you're getting a wall up quickly and you're covering that wall as it's going. So as the build is going up, you're covering it all the time. And if it does, you know, we have weather forecasts in America as good as they are.
They're fairly reliable.
But they're very reliable day by day. So you can actually see what's happening. And, you know, like any other product, I mean, if you're using a wood wall, like a wood framed house, you're still not going to build it in the rain and torrential, and nobody would do it. They say, no, we're not working today. It's not possible. It's the same process. So you're looking, and we do get, you know, 1 or 2 days or 3 days of good enough weather that you can build in. And it's just being aware. I mean, it can be a longer day that you may need to do. You know, you're not going to check off at 3 o'clock and the walls are not covered. You just have to prepare your crew that this is the way it is. The very big key, the difference with, let's say, timber frame or block or anything is, the key with modular building, and this is modular building, is the process. You put the walls up, you have all your roof material, you have your... You're not going to take a break of 2 weeks between putting the roof on, walls up and the roof on. You want everything there, and you want to get it covered as quickly as possible. So your 2 up, 2 down, or your council house, in principle, can be weather tight in a week. And that's including windows. And I've done this on site with not such a professional crew, maybe 1 or 2 carpenters, myself, and some helpers. And it's that simple. It can be screwed together really quickly.
So it's not massively resource intensive in terms of manpower on site?
No. I think the way forward, as you know, if you're talking about these bigger developers who are doing these, you know, 100 houses at a time and they want to get into this, I think the principle here is to develop in each country with a company where you would have pre-assemble option. And there's many companies now. We're now doing this in about 7 countries already. It's not EcoCocon doing it. We're just facilitating a local company to do this. So the key there then is, you know, we have now, for instance, in Finland, Sweden, Holland, Denmark, France, all of these countries now have pre-assembly option. So we're shipping our elements to pre-assembly companies who are then offering for the full project. We're offering for the walls, the roof, the windows, everything installed, and they're coming and installing on site with this. And this is a really good option for the big developers because they don't want the pre-assembled walls. They just want to buy the pre-assembled walls from somebody else. So this is something that is now developing for us very clearly on the markets. And it's become a very clear point that this is an area where our partners, our long-term partners, see a business opportunity, can develop more housing, can ship it anywhere in the country. We're just starting this with the US partner. He's based in New York and he can't get everywhere in the US. But with a pre-assembled factory, he can now take orders, ship them out, and have local people just click everything together. And this is a really viable option.